Hi y'all, it's Bradley the Singing Chef back with you again today to make another great recipe from my upbringing in the South. Now, I grew up near Nashville, Tennessee, and I can't necessarily call this Nashville hot chicken. It's just my version of good old home cooking fried chicken. I hope you'll enjoy it, so let's go. So first let me tell you what I've got going on over here. I have a cast iron skillet, which is the way I prefer to cook chicken. And in the bottom of that, I've got a small layer of peanut oil. Now, if you're allergic to peanuts, you can use any other kind of vegetable oil, canola oil, not olive oil. That has too much of a burn point. So, but peanut oil I like because, again, there's a little bit of flavor in there from the peanuts. But if you're allergic, stay away from the peanut oil. Now, I've had that heating a little bit. Now I'm going to take, because Loretta Lynn told me to, some Crisco. We're going to put a couple of dollops of Crisco into that oil. Let it go in there. I just dated myself with my Loretta Lynn reference, I have a feeling. But anyway, look, we've got little islands in the stream working out in there. Those are going to melt down and add to the oil that we're going to fry in. Now, while that's heating up, because we want it to be at a correct temperature, I put on about a medium-high on your eye. Let me tell you what's in here. This is my chicken. I have both chicken legs, dark meat, and a couple of chicken breasts, white meat, in here. And they have been soaking, preferably overnight, but at least for a couple of hours, in a warm, lovely, cold marinade of buttermilk and hot sauce, because I like hot sauce. You can pick your type of hot sauce. I particularly like Frank's. Again, they're not paying me a dime, but that's what I usually use. With the buttermilk and some salt and some pepper thrown into a Ziploc bag with all of your chicken. Zhuzh it around a little bit, put that in the fridge overnight or for at least a couple of hours and let that soak. Now, while our oil is still heating up, which it's doing a really good job of, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Now I'm going to make our dredge, okay? For my dredge, I put quite a bit of extra spices, not just your typical salt and pepper with the all-purpose flour that most people would do. So I'm going to start out with my all-purpose flour. Just going to scoop in, that's 1/3 of a cup measure, and I'm going to put in at least a cup. A heaping cup, so it's probably a cup and a half maybe. Just kind of eyeballing it based on the number of chicken legs and chicken breasts that I've got to make sure I'm going to be able to coat them. Now to that I am going to add some salt. I'm going to be pretty hefty with that to make sure I flavor all of the chicken. So I'm going to put in a full tablespoon of salt, a 1/2 tablespoon of pepper. Then I'm going to take some garlic powder for some more flavor. To that, let's find the right spoon. Let's do 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. When I'm usually making this, I'm eyeballing these spices, but I'm trying to give you at least some approximate measures. The next spice that I like is actually some lemon pepper seasoning. You can find that pretty much any spice aisle at your grocery store. I just put in that much, I don't know, 5 or 6 shakes of the lemon pepper seasoning. Then I'm going to take some ground mustard, as you probably discovered in the breakfast casserole video. I like mustard, so about a palmful dry mustard into the dredge. Put that top back on. Now, for a little bit of heat. I'm going to put in some crushed red pepper flakes, probably about a half, quarter, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon red pepper flakes, because again, I like a little bit of heat on my fried chicken. And then cayenne, this stuff will blow your palate, so I'm a little bit more careful with it. I'm going to put in just a half a teaspoon of that. You can bump that up if you want it to be more spicy once you try this for the first time. Totally up to you. All right, so that's my dredge. I'm just gonna mix that all together in this mixing bowl. The last thing I'm gonna add is the secret ingredient for all things crispy, and that is cornstarch. To this dredge, I am going to add, oh, just got cornstarch all over me. I'm gonna add one, made my nose itch, at least 3 to 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's going to help our batter get really crispy. All right, stir that into the flour and the spices. Just, yeah. Now, let's check on our oil. You want to make sure that your oil is at the right temperature for frying. And here is my method for checking that. And it involves this wooden spoon. Nothing to do with the flour that's on it. Okay, the tip of your wooden spoon, if you put that into your oil and around the diameter of the handle, if you see bubbles happening in the oil, your oil is at the right temperature. Mine's not quite there yet, which is okay. Because I also need to tell you about what we need to do in order to get the cooking time right on the chicken. You're going to want to do your dark meat first. The dark meat with bone-in especially is going to take a lot longer than your white meat, whether it's bone-in or boneless like the ones that I have today. So you're going to want to do those dark meat legs first. Check this oil temp because it was close. And you don't want your oil to get too hot because otherwise, if you do that, then the outside of your chicken is going to crisp and cook and the inside won't be done. All right, that's pretty good. There were some bubbles there around the diameter of the spoon. So now I'm going to take chicken legs, toss them in that dredge. Now, you can do it just in the bowl, or the fun way is to put it in a paper sack. So I have a paper sack right here. So let's open up the paper sack, drop that first leg in like I was showing you in the bowl, and then you're just going to dump all the dredge into the paper sack. Get rid of the bowl, after that. And then you can take all of this chicken, a piece at a time. You don't want to get all of the marinade in there. You kind of want to shake off the marinade into the bag with the dredge all at the same time. Almost there. I'm only doing like a couple of breasts and 5 or 6 chicken legs because I feel like that's what the pan's going to take. Now you can take your marinade left in the bag, easy disposal, toss that in your garbage, and that is done. All right. So all those things in, and you're going to toss it in. There's an episode of The Golden Girls where they're all working in an assembly line for a catering business and they're stuffing chicken. And they sing this stupid song, gonna stuff a chicken like my mama told me. So today we're gonna shake the chicken. Yeah, all together, get all that dredge all around the wet marinated chicken. gonna reach in, show you what it looks like. Look, shake off any excess. There it is. Now, I've got this baking rack out here. I'm actually gonna lay these out. You can let these sit for a little while so that your marinade really soaks in that dredge. So, hopefully my oil is not getting crazy hot. Cast iron's tricky too because cast iron skillets conduct heat so well that it'll light you up if you're not careful. Now I know you're like, why is he putting these chickens out on a baking rack? There's those two breasts. Like I said, it's mainly to just let those sit. And you can let those sit for a couple of minutes, to be honest. I'm not gonna wait that long for time's sake with you guys. But, all right, that is all of the chicken on the rack. Let me test this oil one more time. See where we are. There we go. Bubbling like a little mini jacuzzi right there around the tip of that spoon. So that tells me that the oil is hot enough for me to put in the chicken. Now, when you put in chicken, you don't want to just drop it in or the hot oil will splash all over you. So you gotta be careful. You just want to gently lay it in, okay? The oil level in the pan should probably come at least quarter to halfway up each of these chicken legs, okay? Leave those all in. One more chicken leg. Great. I'm gonna go wash my hands, let these cook. They're gonna cook for about, I would say, 4 to 5 minutes maybe on the first side, just until they start getting nice and crispy. And then we're gonna turn them so that the other side can cook. And we'll turn the heat down a little bit at this point because we know the oil is hot enough. That way they don't get too crispy on the outside without cooking all the way through. I'll be right back, right after I wash my hands. All right, so I washed my hands to get off all of the raw chicken at this point anyway, because I've still got a couple of chicken breasts to go in the pan. I let these chicken legs cook for about 4 or 5 minutes on the first side, and as you can see, some of them have gotten crisp and brown on that one side. There's still one over here that I haven't turned yet. Sort of when you're frying chicken, you're going to notice that on your stovetop, sometimes your eye or your burner has like hot spots on it that conducts heat better than others. So that's kind of what's happened here. These pieces have cooked a little bit faster than this one, so I'm just kind of delaying turning this last leg over until I know that it's kind of crisped up a little bit more. Let's check that. It's getting there, so let's go ahead and turn him over. He's not too far behind all his friends. I have so many memories of going to visit my grandparents in Alabama. They lived in northeast Alabama, and fried chicken, both of my grandmothers knew was one of my favorite things. My 2 favorite things in the world are fried chicken and Mexican food. They did not serve Mexican food on Sand Mountain in Alabama, but they did serve some really, really good fried chicken. So I tried to take what my grandmothers did and tweak it a little bit on my own for seasoning and stuff like that, but they definitely had their cast irons going every time I came to visit them on the weekend with some fried chicken in the works, along with pinto beans and turnip greens and anything that was fresh from their garden. They had giant gardens at both of their houses that meant for a busy time of year. Sorry, the frying chicken is screaming. They had giant gardens on their property that we all harvested and helped with the harvest each year when things were ready. So there was lots of canning green beans and cutting off corn from the cob to make cream corn and Thankfully, while my grandparents were still living, a lot of my friends got the blessing of their garden harvest. A lot of times I brought home freezer bags of creamed corn and okra that was already chopped up and ready to fry. And lots of my college friends would enjoy when I came back from visiting them. I'll just say that much anyway. Just continuing to turn the chicken to make sure all sides of it get cooked. Your dark meat chicken is going to need around, I would say, 10 to 12 minutes total. So however you divide that amongst, turning the chicken here and there. Now you probably noticed I have a second baking rack out here with some paper towels under it. What I'm going to do is as I remove the chicken, I'm going to put it over there so that it has some time to drain the grease off of it. But as with most fried foods, just like if you were doing French fries or anything fried, you're going to want to season this right after it comes out of the pan. While the oil's still on it, you're going to want to get a little bit of salt and pepper on there. Sometimes I also dash some cayenne on there if I want it to have a real kick. So that's a possibility for you as well. Just getting pretty close to being finished. Now, there's one. The white meat is going to take a lot less time in the pan than the dark meat. Probably a maximum of about 10 minutes on the white meat. This doesn't take as long to cook. Ooh, yeah. This is tasty. I cannot wait to eat this. One of the people that always asks me about this fried chicken recipe is actually my lead pastor in my church, Jen Stiles-Williams. She was the beneficiary of a batch of my chicken before and has talked about it since then. So, Jen, this one's for you. Alright. Chicken is looking crispy. Let's take it a little bit more on that side. I'm finding that the center of this burner is actually the hottest spot. So, as I see pieces that aren't quite done, that's where I'm trying to get them in the center of the pan. There's no set way or reason to do that other than you'll just kind of see while you're frying the chicken where your hot spots are based on which piece is getting done the quickest. If I'm using this little 2-eye burner so that I can film. Normally on my stove, I don't have to work quite as hard to get that right spot, so don't freak out about that. You'll be fine. Your normal stove top will probably do a little bit better, I'd say, than keeping the heat going on the chicken as you fry it. Yeah, it's done and gorgeous. Slowly seven. Oh, you guys seeing this? Look at this chicken. Not even ready. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna let those couple of pieces that are kind of slow keep going while I season these other ones. Just gonna take some salt over each of the legs. Can't really see them. Sorry about that, but I'm just put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper while they're still hot from the grease in the pan. Alright, they're looking fine. As my dad would say, finer than frog hair. I don't even know what that means. My family's country. I guess they've seen frog hair. I love my family a lot. I'm not making fun of them. But they had some humdingers of sayings here and there. Okay, let's get to this white meat over here. Gonna dirty my hands again. Shake off some excess of that batter. Put it in my pan. Now these have had a little bit more time to sit while the other ones were frying. And so I have a feeling they're actually gonna be even crispier because of that. So I'm gonna let those go for about 4 or 5 minutes on the first side before I flip those. Gonna go wash this raw chicken off my hands again because I want to be safe, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, white meat is cooking, like I said, a little bit faster than the dark meat. Turn the second piece over. Ooh, yes. Oh my gosh, look at that chicken. It smells crazy good in this kitchen right now. Now, you could do all kinds of side dishes for this, but the one thing you're going to want to for sure check out is my very first video, which is making buttermilk biscuits. Because let's be honest, there is nothing better than fried chicken, some biscuits, with some butter on it. I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but I really like butter. So yeah, I encourage you to check out that video as well, with the buttermilk biscuits recipe. It's a super simple recipe, goes great with this chicken for sure, as well as pretty much any other meal that you want to have. These chicken breasts are going to cook for a few more minutes. I've had these legs sitting out here for a little while, so they're a little bit cooler. Let's see if I can pick up one. Oh yeah, just want you to see the crispy yumminess of it all. Plate up a leg. Hopefully these will get done pretty quickly. Also, just to, I haven't said this, but it really is important that you use tongs when you're turning your chicken. You don't want to pierce the chicken if you can keep from it. So I've seen people sometimes just stabbing at it to turn it. That's going to release juices from your chicken, which you want to keep in there, inside that batter. So it really is important that you use a pair of tongs to turn the chicken as you're frying it in the pan. It still needs a couple more minutes still to be done. So while that is still frying, I can't wait any longer. I have to try this chicken. Now, I also would not be mad at you if you added a little extra hot sauce. That would not hurt anything. A little drip or two on there. And you may not need it, depending on your spice level, because there is the hot sauce in the batter, there's the marinade, as well as the cayenne that's in Dredge. So let's see how it goes. Come on! It's so good. Perfectly tender and juicy in the center. Cooked all the way through. So crispy on the outside. You guys gotta make this chicken. I'm telling you. Like, now. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. I'm Bradley, the Singing Chef. Hope to see you again soon.